I can tell you right now, his name was John Kitna, quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was on injured reserve. And normally we have, every chapel service, we have a guest speaker, 15-minute talk. He said, I'm going to come next week too, and that was unheard of. Usually you just have one and done, you get another one. He came 4 straight weeks. We were playing the #1 team in the nation, 4 games, 4 weeks deep into John Kitna's visits. He says, I know you're playing at Cowboy Stadium, and I know there's going to be over 40,000 fans there. And I know you're just high school students, but I don't want you to be intimidated by that. I want you to play the game as if there's only one watching, and that's Jesus. And he's sitting on the goalpost, and then you're playing for him. Guess what? In that game, there were 40,000. And somehow, we beat the #1 team in the nation. When the last seconds were ticking off, we had control of the ball. All we had to do is hit a knee. And Polo Manakanau pointed up. I thought he was pointing at the scoreboard. I said, boys, what is he doing? He's embarrassing us. He's showing up Allen over there, Allen High School. I said, no, Coach. He's pointing to Jesus on the goalpost. Polo was one of the ones we lost in the accident.
They were coming back. They were going to drive all night back from Utah. And from what I understand, they were kind of rotating who's driving. And 3 of the boys didn't make it.
I mean, when I got that phone call that morning, it was like almost losing my own kid. I'd seen him just the week before, and he and I were trying to decide which game I was going to come to A&M to watch him play.
And it was about 2:30 in the morning, and my phone rang.
I'm old enough to have had some of those late night phone, something's not right.
And I just started to put my phone down, and my husband was like, no, answer it. If he's calling you at 2:30, there's got to be a reason.
It's not something that you have to announce. It just spreads, people hear about it.
It was Moses had texted me what had happened. And it was just dead quiet.
So I picked up the phone, and all I heard on the other end was like silence and tears. And he said, Corey, Polo's dead. My husband's like, no, there's no way. There's no way. He was in Utah. He's coming home. There's no way. So my husband gets on his phone and he's looking up, car accidents. He's looking up all this stuff.
It stuns you. You immediately go into the denial of, no, it's got to be a mistake.
My husband found on a news station a car accident, 3 teens killed. It was their ages, so we knew it was him. We immediately got in the car and drove over to his mother's house. About 3:30 in the morning we got there, and a lot of his family was already there.
It was just quiet numbness.
It was just surreal. Like, you just couldn't believe it was really happening.
Polo Manukanayu, Gaius Vanuku, and Lolo Utafe were 3 among 5 passengers in the single car crash on July 30th, 2013. Survivors in the accident were Polo's stepbrother and stepfather, Salisa Utafe and Salisa Utafe Jr., an incoming freshman football player at the University of Utah. The driver overcorrected after drifting off the highway late at night, which led to the vehicle rolling over several times, ejecting Polo and Lolo out of the vehicle. They were both pronounced dead on sight. Gaius, who was not ejected out of the vehicle, died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. Salisa Utafe and his son suffered minor injuries. Back home, their loss was truly felt. Where they earned their scholarships, where their families were, and where they impacted thousands. Through the devastation, the city of Euless and the surrounding communities demonstrated what it truly means to be together as one uniformed family.
So we just got up early that morning and came up here as coaches and players, and we just really didn't do much. We just kind of sat there, you know, and every kid, every coach, person who walked by, you just kind of put your hand on their shoulder.
Of course, we had a visual for him that night. The MAC Center, which is our indoor facility, was packed.
Then they had the funeral. And you know when you have to have the funeral in an auditorium that holds thousands of people, that you've impacted lives.
When they started honoring the boys at the funerals, it was just so rich with community, you know, and family. It was powerful.
You know, the community support of that event was huge. How it got that way, or why it's that way, or it just is.
Just this Bedford Euless community, it's just one big family. I mean, it's right in the middle of the one of the biggest cosmopolitan places in the world, but there is a true sense of community here.
The whole community takes pride in what happens at Trinity High School.
With the three boys that passed away a couple of years ago, several other things that have happened in the community that impacts a family or an individual, you just kind of see everyone come together.
When they passed away, all of the community here became one big Polynesian family, and they allowed us to mourn. They allowed the Tongans to weep and to share their pain, and to be accepting of it.
Gaius, also known back home as Ko, was an incoming freshman at the University of Utah. He was recruited to play football under Kyle Whittingham. Gaius planned to play football for a year and then go on his 2-year Mormon mission. Even though the team had just gotten to know Gaius, he was loved by his teammates. Polo was a redshirt freshman at Texas A&M in the class of 2012 for Kevin Sumlin and the Aggies. He was expected to compete for playing time on the defensive line, yet he was most known for his smile and humor that impacted everyone.
When I got back to my mother-in-law's, I thought, I wonder if A&M even knows. Like, I wonder, I found out through one of his best friends, but nobody knows how to contact them. And it was summer, and the boys were off until, August football started back. So I actually, I sent an email and just said, this has happened. Here's my cell phone number. I'd really like to explain what had happened. And it was like 6 in the morning, and I get a phone call. And, I had just gotten back from his mom's, and everything that was happening so fast. And so I answered, and I was like, hello. And I heard, Corey, this is Kevin Sumlin.
I wasn't sure what to connect, what the relationship is with big-time college football coaches and their players. You know what I mean? Because it gets a little bit more business-like, I'm sure. I mean, they stopped what they were doing wherever they were for these young kids, but they just stopped everything they were doing and put their, A&M put their players on buses and drove up here.
He cared enough to call and find out, and I know it was one of his players, but that just kind of shows, the impact Polo had on him, but also how he cares about his freshmen even.
When Coach Sumlin got up there and spoke, I mean, it was from the heart, and I'm a fan from now on of that man.
Polo was someone who brought everyone together and provided a real sense of family and togetherness, something Trinity was blessed with for 4 years.
I met Polo in fall of 2009. He was in my biology class as a sophomore. He was struggling that year a little bit with family life and got into some trouble. And so he asked me to kind of be his mentor through all of that.
After 200 hours of keeping stats and community service with the softball team, Polo, Corey, and the team developed a strong bond.
We were having softball practice his senior year, and he showed up to the gym and said, can you come here? And I said, of course. So I walked outside, and he was actually there with Coach Sumlin and Coach Snyder, the defensive coach at the time. So I walked out there, and I was shocked. I didn't expect to see two A&M football coaches standing there. And he said, I just wanted to introduce you to them, and I wanted them to meet my white mother. That was a real humbling experience, just to kind of realize that I had made an impact on him.
Corey wasn't the only one that he heavily impacted. It was a repeating tendency with his glowing personality that touched so many lives and made so many lifelong impressions.
When we design a state ring, what's it going to look like? Our boys do it. Polo, he was an artist, and he designed the ring. On the side of it, he put like rays of sunshine, and that meant let's be a bright light in a dark world.
Such a great leader, such a great person. You know, he's sitting right next to him, to God, watching all of us. Is all I can say about Polo. Fantastic kid. You know, I miss them every day.
Next to, my family, he meant the world to me. He's fun-loving, always upbeat, could make anybody laugh, but he was also that gentle heart. If you were having a bad day, he was there to help you through it.
Polo was just a loving person and very humble. I just fell in love with him. He had a heart of gold, great kid. Kids loved him here, and he'd always come back. He'd come back and see people. Kids would go up to him as he walked across the mall area. Polo, Polo. He was the leader. He was great. I miss him.
3 years might seem like a long time, but it's still so fresh and it's still so new. I mean, who would have known that a 19-year-old kid would have been taken so quickly?
Even at a young age, Polo impacted the lives of countless individuals. From football to his faith to his family, Polo became a role model for everyone.
Very good representative of the Tongan community.
He had his priorities right. He had God first, and then he had his family. His mother was his pride and joy, his goal. That's what he wanted to do. Everything was about making sure his mother was taken care of.
Polo, Gaius, and Lolo were and still are a bright light all across Euless, Texas, and around the globe. Friends, family, neighbors, and all in between rally behind the boys' tragedy for Euless and its surrounding communities. All around, friends would share their stories, post on social media, raise money, and do everything they possibly could to express the love for the Boys of Euless and to support their families. Whether it was Gaius' singing, Polo's humor, or the pure joy of watching Lolo grow up, they may have passed, but their memories will live. A joy to the world and to all around them. The community healed and loved each other, picked each other up with each step of the way, because that's what they would have done. That's what the boys would have done. They would have loved and healed. But not without a final goodbye.
I kind of want to tell him how proud I was of him. And just let him know that his mom and his sisters are well taken care of. I know that was his #1 goal in life, was to take care of his mom. And he asked, when he went away to college, that I look after his sister who was coming up to be a sophomore, and I guess I would just tell him that everybody's taken care of and his family's doing well, and that we were proud of him.
There's some strong people that lost loved ones that showed a whole lot of strength, more than I could have shown. I mean, Gaius' mom getting up there and speaking at the funeral with us and smiling about her son, you know, that speaks to the depth of their faith.